Welcome back, boys and girls. We're going to take a little adventure. Are you ready for an adventure? We're going to take a little adventure around the world today. And we're going to do that when we read our book, Can You Say Peace? But we're going to end up somewhere where it's cold for our adventure. So please put on your hat, your gloves, your coat, zip it up, maybe your boots, your warm clothing underneath, anything you like to wear when it's cold, because we're going to end up somewhere cold. As I read the book today, again, Can You Say Peace by the author Karen Katz, make sure when you notice the place where it's cold that you let me know, okay? Can you say peace? Today is Peace Day all around the world. Children everywhere will wish for peace. They will hope for peace. They will ask for peace. All around the world, there will be many different ways to say peace. See the picture in the book? All the different children. They're all dressed differently. Meena lives in India. Meena says peace, Shanti. Shanti. Doesn't look very cold there. Did you see those palm trees? I don't think it ever gets cold there if they have palm trees. Not too cold anyway. Emily lives in America. Emily says peace. We can say that. We say peace too, don't we? She's wearing short sleeves, so I don't think she needs her winter coat today. It must be warm there. Kenji lives in Japan. Kenji says heiwa. Kenji says heiwa. He and his friends are riding their bike. Looks pretty warm there too. Lynette lives in Australia. They're even swimming in the water. Lynette says kurtuku. Kurtuku. Carlos lives in Mexico. Carlos says paz. Carlos says paz. They look like they're walking and riding to school. Hannah lives in Iran. Hannah says so. She has a head wrap on. You notice everyone is wearing one. It's not because it's cold, though. Stefan lives in Russia. Stefan says mir. Oh, good job. If you said, oh, it's cold, you're right. This is the picture that shows where it's cold. In Russia, it's cold and snowing. Okay, let's finish reading the book. May lives in China. May says, hey, Ping. They're having a picnic. It looks nice there. Claire lives in France. Claire says, pay. Lots of people outside. It doesn't look too cold there either, does it? Sadiki lives in Ghana. Sadiki says, gumjiji. Gumjiji. It looks warm there too. Alana lives in Bolivia. Alana says, Mokashkamina. Mokashkamania. Mokashkamania. Mrs. Elpers has to look at that one. It's so long. They're outside playing soccer. It doesn't look cold there either. All around the world, children want to go to school, to walk in their towns and cities, to play outside, and to share food with their families. They want to do all these things and feel safe. No matter where we live, we all want peace. If we look at this picture of the world, it shows the boys and girls on the different continents they live on. And you can see that right here is Russia. Mir. I had to look to see his name again. I couldn't remember. I'm sorry. Mir, right here. He's in Russia where it's cold. So we're going to talk today just a little bit about that, about cold, and we're going to talk about animals around the world. So let's look at our science poster. I'm going to hold that up for you, and let me grab it. We're going to look at the different places and different faces of these animals. In the yellow rectangle, we have a cow who lives on a farm. So we have animals that live on farms. We have animals that live in the desert. That guy might be a bearded dragon. I'm not sure. He lives in the desert. There's, in the green rectangle in the middle, there's a deer who lives in the forest. In the pink rectangle, there is, right down here, the ocean. Look at all those creatures in the ocean. The sea anemone. That big guy at the top, is that a shark? And in the last picture, we see the Arctic. Do you see that guy in that picture? In the Arctic? What is he wearing? If you said fur, you're right. He has fur to keep him warm. In the Arctic, it's very, very cold. That's why we dressed up today and pretended to put on our warm clothing, because it's cold. Everybody shiver in the Arctic. So we're going to talk for just a minute about animals that live in the Arctic. And that was a picture of a goat. He had a fur coat on to keep him warm, and because it's cold in the Arctic, so we know we need a fur coat if we're going to go there. And other animals that live there might be some polar bears. Whoops, I have a picture of some polar bears I wanted to show you. See these polar bears? They're on an iceberg. An iceberg is a floating piece of ice, guys, because in the Arctic, the water is very cold and there are big chunks of ice that float around. And sometimes the polar bears get on a piece of that ice. It might have once been attached to a bigger piece of ice where they had walked, and maybe it got, look how they're kind of out there on their own. They might have floated off, or maybe they swam in the water over to that iceberg and climbed on it. It's just interesting because we don't swim in an ocean that has an iceberg in it, do we? No, we don't have a fur coat, and we're not prepared to do that. But just remember that a floating piece of ice like this, a mass of ice, is called an iceberg. And we find that and these kinds of animals in the Arctic where it's cold. Think about how you might feel, and think about different animals that might live in this area. I have attached to my email a really cool National Geographic video that's just pretty short, but it tells you a little bit about the Arctic, and you should watch it. It's really cool. And afterward, a lot of times the next video will come on and it will show you some other continents and animals that live there. So I challenge you to explore a little bit about the Arctic today and watch that video and see what kind of animals you see and what you learn. See you soon.